Hello everyone, it's me, Eli, with the Men's Calling, and today I want to talk about boundaries and setting good boundaries in our life. It's something that we have to do, otherwise it will cause burnout, it will cause resentment, it can cause anger in so many different areas, and also it can cause people to take advantage of us, of our good nature, of our kindness. Boundaries are not a bad thing. Boundaries are healthy. It's always okay to say no. So I have some notes here that I'm looking at. Don't worry, there's no script, but I have some notes, all right? First thing I want to talk about is setting boundaries at your work. At your work. In a past video, I spoke about how your work should not be your life. You don't live for your work. Your whole life is not just focused on your work. And so because of that, there has to be clear boundaries in your workplace. When your boss or another person says, hey, can you do this? Can you do this extra? It's always important, of course, to do our best at whatever we do. But again, we have to use our time wisely. There are some things that are more important than what we have to do at our job. You see what I'm trying to say here? So it's okay to say no. It's okay to have a clear boundary, like, no, this day at this time is my family time with my wife and my son. Or this time right here is my time to recharge. I'm sorry, I can't work at that time. It's okay to have clear boundaries. And even during a job interview, of course you want that job, but be strong, have courage, be clear, and show that you're not just a robot. You are a human. You have emotions, and you have to make the decision to give a clear boundary for you and your personal life with your job. All right. It's okay to say, I'm sorry, I can't come in on that day. I have this responsibility. Because at the beginning of, especially with working in a new job, you have this feeling that you need to be a pleaser, like almost like pleasing for your job. You have to give a good impression. And of course, I'm not saying be lazy, but I'm saying have a clear boundary. Have a clear line in the sand of your life and your job. I think it's important to separate the two. Even like something more practical, like have your cell phone set so that you don't receive notifications after a certain set time. For my cell phone, after 6 o'clock, I don't receive anything on my phone. Like there's no messages I can see that are coming in. I can send messages out, of course, but it's very helpful for me because it helps me be able to relax and focus, on my family and focusing on them. And so that's just some advice for you if you want to use it. It helps me so much because then I'm like, okay, it's not an emergency. I can check those messages the next day in the morning. It's okay. And some people have their phone set up for 7, 8, 9, whatever you want, but have a clear boundary, especially with your phone. I think it's a good piece of advice. And now also for your own personal life, especially with your family members. I know some of you are not living at home, or maybe some of you are even married. Now listen, once you are married, that is your new family. That is your family. Of course, you have, your wife's family, you have your your own family, but there has to be clear boundaries with that because it is your family. So having a clear set, like, hey, listen, I can't meet with you guys on that day. That's time for me and my wife. Or if you're living by yourself, like, hey, I have this assignment I have to get done. I want to do this by myself on this days. I'm sorry, family, I can't talk with you. Or if you come from a very toxic family relationships where, there was abuse, there is always speaking down to you with their words, just obviously you need to set a boundary. And I know there can be some trauma or some hurt where you don't want to hurt that person's feelings because they'll get angry and lash out at you. And so there's that fear there. But have courage, say no, be clear. And so many times people like that who are the negative and the abuse, they will try to manipulate you to move your boundary line, but don't move it. Keep it clear. Boundaries are healthy. boundaries are good. Have a clear boundary like, hey, listen, I'm sorry, but until you figure out what's happening with you, I can't communicate with you right now. We have to take a step back, and stop communication for a while. I'm not rejecting you, but I just need to have this time and this distance from you. So you can do it in a respectful manner that's not like disrespecting to them or not in an angry way to them, but do it with wisdom, and have a clear boundary line, especially with your family, and I know it's hard, but I believe, you can do it. You can make the right decision, all right? And now I just want to talk a little bit about the feeling of feeling guilty after you set a boundary, because I know that feeling. Like, you set a clear boundary, and then in your mind you think, did I hurt that person's feelings? Oh, that person get offended. Oh, will that person think wrongly of me? Why do you care about that? It's your life. It's your health. It's your mind. You have to make a clear distinction in your life with what's important and what's not important. How that other person feels with me taking responsibility for my life and having a clear line in the sand, that does not pertain to me. I cannot control the feelings of another person. Of course, I can say some stuff. I can influence in a way, but I don't control that. I can't control their reaction. If I make a boundary and they get angry with me, that's on them. If I make a boundary and they feel offended, hey, you don't want to talk with me? Hey, you don't want to be with me? That's on them. But you know what is needed for your health, your physical and your mental. I know, especially from experience, like when I was living in China, I won't say the person's name, but there was a person who every time we spoke, there was so much stress and just this feeling of always walking on eggshells with this person. I couldn't say anything without this person getting angry. And I had to give a clear boundary to this person. And I said, listen, I'm sorry. I just can't talk with you, like at least for a few months. I don't want to be around you. And that person got so offended. Eli, like, you hate me? I'm like, no, I don't hate you, but you're not an influence I want in my life. And you can have a clear boundary and not hate the person. People always consider an action so personal these days, but I just had a clear boundary and they were offended, but I'm like, okay, you can be offended, but I know what's healthy for me. So make the decision, choose the thing that's healthy for you, make the clear boundary, make the clear choice. And now the thing with boundaries as well is that boundaries can be moved, and it's up to you how you want to move them. So going back to like the toxic or, tough person, if you feel that maybe like, okay, they have changed a bit. Now, of course, I'm not talking for super abusive relationships or anything like that. I think you guys see what I'm talking about here. But if you feel okay, like they seem to have really like changed, just a repentance, there's a true nature change, character change with them, you can move the boundary a little bit of leeway and talk with them, kind of see where they are. And then, you can slowly, lower the boundary, bring it back to have them come back into your life. But it has to be with wisdom. All right. And of course, that's not for every situation. Have wisdom. Wisdom is being able to use the right thing, the right word, the right action at the right time. That is wisdom. So again, use it at the right time, move it back at the right time for the right person, and if you really have seen a change. So boundaries can freely be moved, and it's really up to you. Now, also another tip I want to give with boundaries is if you have like a really good friend or someone that you trust, tell that person the boundaries that you set in your life, and they can actually help you, keep those boundaries. If you feel like you're gonna waver or like, I feel like I'm gonna say yes to this always, have a person in your life that can help you and support you, because you don't have to do it by yourself. You don't have to do it alone. You guys can help each other in these boundaries of your life. In conclusion, I just want to say you can start small for different things in your life. Start with some small boundaries, and then for the big things, you need to build up some courage to those. Start small and then do the big thing. Make the big boundary. All right. So please tell me, what type of boundaries do you guys have down in the comments? Or if you need help or encouragement with your boundaries, please write it down in the comments and I'll be praying for you. and we can communicate as well. Yeah, so do your best. I'm praying for you, and I will see you later. Bye bye.